All right, Ken Range Theory Trader, back with you with another video just showing you the fastest way to grow small accounts. So let's not waste time and get right into it. So this is a simple concept known as asymmetric compounding. Don't let that long title fool you. It's very simple. All asymmetric compounding is this: small losses, big gains. So that over time, your gains grow faster than your losses. Keep the losses small, keep the returns big. That's it. That's all it is. Okay, so you risk a little to make a lot, and you repeat that process to help your account grow exponentially. So I compare this to what's something that's called escape velocity. So don't let that term fool you either. If you've ever seen a rocket ship take off, okay, it's the same principle whereby that rocket has to take a lot of risk to break free of the gravitational pull of the Earth, the planet Earth, to be blunt. So when you're trading, you need to, or you don't need to, but if you're starting with a small account, if you want to see your account go fast, you're going to have to take some pretty risky trades in order to make sure you can achieve what's called escape velocity. Because once the rocket escapes from the Earth's gravitational pull, guess what? It doesn't have to keep that same speed up. It's in weightlessness. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have gravity pulling it down. So when you're starting with a small account, once you achieve a certain balance, you don't have to keep taking the same risk because you've escaped the pool of, I guess you could say, poverty or being broke or just not making money trading. Okay. So this is temporary because the rocket does not need to continue at full speed once it reaches the right height. What sense would it make to be outside in the atmosphere? Gravity is no longer pulling you down, but you still take all these risks. And no, we need to keep going 1,000 miles per hour. It's not necessary. So the same with your account. If you take a small amount to a huge amount, why are you still risking half your account, 75% of your account? It's not necessary. Okay. So once you reach your goal, you need to have in mind, okay, I want to have a principal balance or a baseline balance. Some people call it a bankroll of at least $500, $1,000, $2,000. Honestly, to me, 10,000, I'm not 10,000, I'm sorry, $1,000 is a great goal for everyone to have. Why is that? Because on a $10,000 challenge account with a prop firm, typically you're going to get between 8 and 10% drawdown. That's $800 to $1,000. So why not just compound your own account to $1,000 instead of buying a prop firm, taking these challenges, and trying to see if you can make it? Do it yourself, and you can get payouts whenever you want instead of waiting 2 weeks or once a week or et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so let's take a look at how to do that. Okay, so here's the main idea. Like I said, we're going to start with a very small account. I'm only going to do two starting balances, but the first one we'll do 50 bucks. Okay, so let's just say, and I'm going to take a quick drink of water here. You're risking 1 to 2, okay? But remember, I said escape velocity. This is very high risk. So if you don't have disposable income, do not do this because this is very risky, okay? So, but let's just say you have it and you risk 25 to try to make 50, okay? That's 1 to 2. So you win. Now your $50 has turned into 100. What you're now going to do is you are going to risk all the profit you just made, which is the $50 you just made on that trade, plus the original 25. So now you're risking $75 to make $150 on the next trade. That's the idea in a nutshell. You're making big risk in order to achieve a big return, but if you lose, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to blow the account. You're basically just you're down 25 bucks. Okay, because you started with 50, you win trade, then you lose a trade, you've lost in terms of your own money 25 bucks. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples here. Here's a brief chart that I put together here, just showing you how this would look in real time. So let's say you start with a $50 account, small enough. Okay, so you start out, you risk 25. I'm right here on this top row here, if you see my mouse. You risk 25 to get 50 and you win. This is assuming a 100% risk win rate over 5 trades, really 4 trades. Um, but anyway, so you do that and you win. So your new balance is now 100 bucks. Okay. So the next trade you make, wait, you can say 5 trades. All right. So now you got 100 bucks. What are you going to do? You're going to risk all the profit you just made plus that original 25. Okay, so you're risking 75 to make 150. It's still 1 to 2. You're not changing the ratio. All you're changing is the risk. You're risking your profits. Okay, so You win. Awesome. You have now turned 100 into 250. But all of this profit you're now risking again, because now that you have 250, you're going to risk 175. Okay, the 150 you just made plus 25. Okay, so you're risking 175. What's 175 times 2 is 350. You've now made it to $600. Okay, winning 3 trades in a row. Boom, boom, boom. The only thing, let me say this, the only thing you may run into is lot size restrictions. So this works best with a high margin broker. But if you can't take if your position size won't allow you to take $175 worth of risk on your stop based on your stop loss, just do the best you can. Okay, but here's the general rule right here. This is what you're aiming for. But if you don't have enough margin with a $250 account to take a certain position size that's worth 175, get as close to it as you can. Okay, but you're still controlling your risk and controlling your downside. But anyway, okay, so you've turned it into $600. Great. So you started with 50, you won 1, 2, 3 trades in a row, and now you're at $600. So once again, we risk all our profit. Okay, so we're risking 375 to make 750. We win again. We make 1350. So now you're at that thousand. This is as good as a $10,000 prop firm account right there. In 1, 2, 3, 4 trades, this could be you, $1,000. Let's just say we go one more time for kicks, and if we win 5 trades in a row, 1350, we risk 775, we're up to about $3,000. That's the same as a $30,000 prop firm account with a 10,000 with a 10% drawdown. Okay, same basic principle. Okay, but what happens when you lose? Because guess what? As great as the method is, I teach the candle range theory, but this works with any method. You're going to lose some. Nothing is 100%. So what do? Here's a more realistic look at that. Not to say that the first one is impossible. It's just what's more probable. So let's say you start out with a trade and you lose. Your account goes from 50 to 25. You've lost half your account. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're trading $10,000 and you lose 5,000, you're sweating. You're like, oh my god. If you lose $25 and that hurts you, you don't need to be trading. You need to save some money. You need to just do something a little different. Okay. So this is for people who actually have this disposable income. All right. But if losing $25 really wouldn't put a dent in your situation, then guess what you do after you lose? You just get back to level 1. Look at it like a video game. Hey, but this is the minimum. All right. I wouldn't start doing anything like this with less than $50. All right. So if you lose one, just make another deposit. All right. Start over. So once again, so we're on trade number 2 and we win this one. So we start with 50, risking 25 to get 50. We win. All right. So now our new balance is $100. And then guess what happens? We win the next trade. We've turned 100 into 250. Now we risk 175. So now we're nervous, but we've lost. And what's our new balance? $75. What do? You really have 2 options. You can either try again with the 75 or just make a $25 deposit and you start at level 3. Okay, you start at level 3. So I would use this as the maximum. Okay, and you always want to be at one of these types of levels. Either you're starting a new trade with 50, 100, 250, 6, or 1350. Now, obviously, this is harder to do once you get past the 250 level because the gap between your losses and your wins are so big. It's hard to go from, but it's easier to go from, you can do 225 if you lose. You can deposit another $25 and be back at 250. But obviously, you're not going to really be able to go from, say, 75 bucks up to 225, or sorry, 225 up to like 1350. It's harder to do that. You don't want to make a big old fat deposit. You don't really have to do that based on how this is structured. All you have to do is if you lose one, when you're losing balance, try to get to the same one of these levels right here. Okay, so if you find yourself at 225, it's pretty easy to get to 250, or you don't even have to make a deposit. Let's try again. Either way, but you want to start and stay at one of these levels. Really, it's pretty simple. I believe I misspoke. You should be able to get to one of these levels after you lose. You should be able to get back to the same level with just a little deposit. And once your account's big enough, I say once you get over 200, I really wouldn't worry about making another deposit, to be honest with you, until I get down to like 75. So that's that. So I'll try to keep trading this until I get down to like say 100. I'm sorry, under. Let's say if pardon me, if I start at 225 and I get under 75, then I'm going to make a deposit to start at 100. Let's say that. All right. So we'll do that. Sorry if I confused anyone, but here's the chart. And like I said, you always want to start at one of these levels. All right. So there you go. That's the point. So Once again, though, so you've see, we start here, $250 loss, put you down to 75, make the deposit for 100, and then if you win the $100 trade here, you're right back at 250. And then once again, you use this. So if you start at 250 after a couple losses, okay, well that 250 after one trade can become 600. Okay, because keep the risk the same. All right, you're always risking this. This is the template. But I didn't go beyond this for a reason because I don't want you thinking that you're going to turn $50 into a million. Now, is it possible? Sure, why not? But is it probable? Come on, let's be serious, okay? It's much more realistic to run 5 trades in a row and then lower your risk dramatically, or even 4 trades in a row, and then lower your risk dramatically than it is to turn $50 into 10,000. All right, I'm not interested in that at all. Okay, so that's that. So top off your account to get to a solid level, and that way you know your goals and be sure you have the money to do so. Okay. So another example, I just did one more doing $100. I did not include the or actually I did include the losing balance here, but this takes a little more of a deposit to get back to one of these levels. And I stopped at 3 grand, close to 3 grand, because it's just not necessary. I don't believe in just carrying. Oh, I want to turn $100 into 10 million. I don't know. Okay, so same thing. You were 1 to 2. You're risking 50 to make 100. You risk all the profit. You could turn 100 into 200, then 200 into 500, and then 500 into 1,200, and then 1,200 into $2,700. Okay, right there in 4 trades. Okay, this was 4. This was 5 trades. Okay, but if you start with $100, after 4 trades in a row, you could have up close to 3 grand. All right, so choose your adventure. Because when it comes to stuff like this, you get to choose what type of trader you're going to be. Typically, you're going to fall in 1 to 2 categories. Either this guy right here, the hot shot trader who watches this video, he's going to go all in. He's a pro. He turns $100 into $1,200 in just 2 trades. He knows what he's doing. He's awesome. But one day he's going to see a high probability setup. He said, you know what? I'm going to put it all in. I know what I'm doing. Okay, but the trade consolidates. It takes longer than he expected. And then when the market resets, the spread gets so big that it liquidates his entire position. He's lost it all. Okay, so he turned 100 into 1,200 and he's lost everything. All right, so he has to start over, but he never learns his lesson. He's always making deposits and he's never making withdrawals. Okay, that's this guy, the hot shot trader. Okay, and I've been this guy, full transparency. Yeah, I've been him. I've done that. All right, but you can also choose to be trader number 2. What's trader number 2's deal? All right, trader number 2 is he's the guy that decides to give compounding a method, but he starts small. He's kind of, he's new to this trading thing. He loses his first 2 trades, so he's out. He's out. He takes a break. He studies a little bit, and then he tries to give it another try with $50. In 3 days, he wins his next 3 trades. Okay, he's over the moon. He's ecstatic. All right. So now that he has $600, he says, you know what? I'm going to take 100 out of that and start a new account using the $100 method that he saw in this video. Try to do it again on a different account. But also he has a new $500 principal. Not a life-changing amount of money, but he's going to see what he can do with it. He's going to lower his risk now. So on that $500 account, all he wants to do now that he knows how to trade and understands his method, he's just going to risk $50 to make $100 consistently. Consistently. Okay, that's all he wants to do. And when he does that, most weeks he makes an extra $300 to $500. That's it. While he's still also playing with a $100 account. That money, that side money, has helped him pay off some debt, stop working so much overtime on his job, and just enjoy life a little more now that he doesn't have to worry about trying to turn $50 into a million. He just likes consistency. He likes safe, predictable returns, and that's what he's doing, and that's what he's making. So this is Trader 2. Which one of these looks more appealing to you? Because I promise you, you might go between these two. One day you're this guy, one day you're this guy, but the chances of you being one of them is pretty high. All right, it's going to be pretty high. So, in conclusion, if you have the money, start multiple $50 and $100 accounts. To me, that's better than doing all these prop firm challenges and all that type of stuff. I would prefer doing it on my own account than trying to constantly pass challenges and all that type of stuff. I'm just not into that. Okay. Have I done it in the past? Yes, of course I have. I've talked about it on this channel. But at the end of the day, I just think this way is better because there's just more flexibility. Now, this method is going to work better with high leverage brokers. So let's say a minimum of 1 to 500 leverage starting out. Once you have 10 grand or whatever, you don't need as much leverage. I'm talking about $10,000 of your own money, not a prop firm. Okay. But small amounts, you need a lot of leverage. It is what it is. Okay. And remember, you don't have to risk all the profit either. If you want to play with these numbers, do what works for you. I like to use an AI to help play with scenarios. I got this from Grok, but you can also use ChatGPT. It can walk you through some scenarios. Both of those are free. And just ask it, I want to use, it's called asymmetric compounding. And if I risk this to get this, and give me a scenario where I win 5 trades in a row. Typically, I say a good 4 to 5 trade winning streaks should be able to get you to $1,000. Okay. So do not get addicted to high returns. Get addicted to consistent results and withdrawals. I want you to be this guy, okay? Because he's making money. This guy, yeah, he can turn $100 into 1,000, but he never pulls anything out. So why? He's making the broker rich, not himself. I like this guy's approach a little bit better, okay? So, but he likes consistency instead of bragging about how he can make a lot, take a little bit and turn it into a lot, but he's not making any money. Okay. So this is remember, this is for escape velocity purposes only. Once you reach your principal goal, like I said, start with $1,000 is a good goal. Okay. These high risks, they're not necessary. Get rid of it. Forget you ever watched this video once you get $1,000. If you get $1,000 and you do like risk 50 to make 100, or even risk 100 to make 200 a trade, that's fine. That's doable. That's getting you making this constant withdrawal. So I don't really teach about, hey, let's get rich and let's all become millionaires. That's not my deal. Okay. I'm about consistent returns. Okay. Consistent withdrawals. All right. Focusing on good trading will get you there. Okay. But if you fall for that, get rich quick, and I want to flip this into that, road to ruin. Don't ask me how I know. Okay. Just trust me. I know. So I appreciate you watching. I hope this video is of use to you. For more training and tips and to see my method that I use to get withdrawals, definitely check out the other videos on this channel. And thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day.